Praise God. And then the title of the story, of course, and the poetry I'll be ministering to us this afternoon is I Used to Be Hungry. Amen. I used to be hungry. I used to be hungry. So just open up your heart and just receive from God this afternoon. I used to be hungry. I used to be hungry. I used to set myself on fire till I burned to flames the fire within me. I used to be hungry. I used to set myself on fire. I used to be hungry. I used to fan myself to flames ablaze like the foxes of Samson. There were days I prayed, and prayer made a name for himself with my life. There were days I devoured the word just like Jeremiah piercing through my heart. I used to be hungry. There were days I walked through the streets of Zion. There were days I fasted my life as though my life was on a fast. There were days I prayed. The prayer made a name for my name and again for my name. I used to be hungry. There were days I heard the word like Jeremiah, weeping in prayers, in obsequiousness like Jeremiah, my palms on fire, my lip bled like a pen, sharper than two-edged sword like Isaiah. I used to be hungry. There were days I held the word as though my life depends on it. There were days I run the streets preaching the gospel with my mouth on fire. There were days my feet would run the streets as though it was Elijah level. I used to be hungry. There were days I would run the streets and my hands on fire, my lips ablaze and my heart ran faster than my breath. I used to be hungry. I used to be hungry till I lost my gaze and look off the hill. I used to be hungry till my feet became cold and my sacredness became fleetingness. I used to be hungry. There were days just like Peter, I picked out of God's desires, and just like Moses carried away with the burning bush, I used to be hungry. Just like Peter, I casted my net off the sea. Just like Peter, I zoomed my attention off the master and drowned in the sea, gazing my eyes off him because I used to be hungry. There were days I drowned my head off the knowledge of God. There were days I zoomed my attention off the desires of God. Days my heart will bleed just for my mistakes, buried in my mistakes, because I have not now hope. I used to be hungry. I used to be hungry till I found to flames the fire in me like the foxes of Samson. I used to be hungry till I preached the goodness of Christ, notwithstanding who and where and when and what's around me. There were days I run the streets like John the Baptist, like giving the voice of one in the wilderness. Days the kingdom, the gospel of the kingdom was preached to me. Days my feet ran the streets. I used to be hungry. I used to be hungry till I bid Zion goodbye. I used to be hungry till I wore the garments of Babylon, putting off the roses of Zion. I used to be hungry. Just like Esau, I used to be hungry. Who took a morsel of bread, a man profane and a fornicator, selling his birthright to Jacob. I used to be hungry. There were days my zeal was in my mouth. The same zeal I got in the day of my salvation was in my mouth, running with it as though fire was burning in my heart. There were days I carried Jesus on my head as though it was ball in the air. I used to be hungry. There were days I would walk the streets with so much hunger, with so much fervor, zeal, just to preach this gospel, but I used to be hungry. And the question a layman would ask is, what has happened? But then just like Peter petered out of God's desires, gazing my eyes off the master's use, and now he asks, Peter, do you still love me? I used to be hungry. My attention spanned over time just because the master has mastered out his plans for my life, and I became like Peter, bittered in the ambition and isolation the master had placed me to. I used to be hungry. Just like the woman at the well of Samaritan. Just like the woman Jesus saw then, I used to be hungry, looking for who to satisfy my answer, looking for who to give answer to my questions. I used to be hungry. There were days I drowned my head off the zeal. I drowned my head in the river, looking for questions, looking for answers to solve this puzzle. I used to be hungry. I lost my gaze and kept my eyes in the city of loneliness. I took my eyes off the hill. Now my heels are nowhere to be found. I am now in a lonely ground, looking up to the hill, not looking to the help himself. I used to be hungry. There were days I ran with my salvation with fear and trembling. There were days the voice of one will cry in the wilderness, stand up and pray. There were days I ate the word like Jeremiah. With his word in my mouth, I spat it with fire, just like Isaiah. There were days I was like Moses, naive of his voice, but then ran to Egypt just to save his people. I used to be hungry. Until life dawned on me, and then I became a shadow of myself, running outside of the will of God for my life, outside of the gates of Zion. And Babylon embraced me like a cloth, defiling myself with the rules and rudiments of this city. I used to be hungry. And the question the master is asking each and every one of us this afternoon is this: where is our hunger? There were days we ran with so much fervor. There were days we ran with so much zeal. With days we ran with so much fire. The salvation we received. We used to be hungry. We used to be hungry till Babylon turned its face on us, and now we walk the streets of God as though life doesn't matter. We used to be hungry. We used to run the race without sacredness in our hearts, as though our life depends on it. And of course our life depends on it. We used to be hungry till we bade Zion goodbye. We used to be hungry till we embraced like Esau the morsel of bread, selling our birthright to Jacob. We used to be hungry. We used to be hungry till we became like Peter. For the current anxieties of the world cast all our cares away from Jesus. We used to be hungry. There's a voice of one crying in the wilderness, and a riding the voice of the greater one to come, saying, come, 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 come. There were days we used to be hungry. And the voice of one clamoring, messaging on us this afternoon, he says, come, because there's room for more. Thank you.